After 3 weeks of riding, I've made it to Albany on Australia's southwest coast, and here is one end of the Munda-Biddi Trail, which is described as a world-class nature-based off-road cycle trail. It runs for over 1,000 kilometres between Albany and Perth. You can ride it either way. It should take me anywhere between 2 and 3 weeks, and thought I'd check it out and show you what it's like. It's the start of my third day on the trail, and I've just spent my first night at one of the campsites along the way. This one's called Junung Bhargavath, and it's the first one that you come to when travelling north along the trail from Albany. I slept here in the bunks and had a good night's sleep on my own, but you can probably fit about 20 people here quite comfortably under cover, and even more people outside in the designated tent sites. It opens out onto this balcony area where you've got tables and chairs from which you can enjoy the view and cook your dinner at, and there's a composting toilet there in the background, which I was pleased to discover this morning doesn't smell at all, so it's obviously very well maintained, as are the 2 water tanks here, which are full of fresh rainwater to top supplies up with, and there is even a undercover area where you can park your bike, so the whole place is incredibly well designed and a comfortable place to spend the night. And the whole trail so far, even though I've only done 2 days of it, has just been similarly super impressive. It takes you through some beautiful parts of the southwest, from the beautiful beaches around Denmark to these incredibly beautiful tall forests which are going to continue their way through Walpole and into Pemberton. It's certainly living up to its nature-based claims and giving a perfect opportunity to get up close with the wildlife and start to understand a bit more about it. And I think that's what the trail is all about, and those that want to ride the trail should definitely use it to learn more about the wildlife that we have here in Australia. Especially foreign visitors, it'll be worth reading up about the Australian environment before coming out here, and while you're doing the ride, just to develop a deeper understanding with what you're seeing every day. You've got places like this, for example, which might seem dead, barren and lifeless to some, having been affected by a recent bushfire, but if you were to read about the relationship between fire and the Australian bush, you'll understand the intricate relationship between the two. The Australian bush has been evolving with fire for millions of years, so it's well adapted to coping with it and actually relies upon fire in a lot of ways for survival and reproduction. You've got plant species whose seed pods only open to release seeds when exposed to certain levels of smoke and heat. And the animals around here also rely on fire to create a variety of habitat types. You've got some species who like really dense patches of bush that are unburnt, where they can find cover from predators, whereas you've got other species that kind of like a more open landscape like this, that they can move through more easily and find food in all the fresh growth. That's part of the regeneration that's going to be happening here. You can already start to see the new growth coming through on the ground and in the trees, and pretty soon this place is going to be green, lush and absolutely teeming with wildlife once again.
along the trail, you're bound to come across a spot like this, which is a diversion where the track that the authorities want you to take differs a little bit from the original track published in the maps. They're marked in situ with signs like this one, which shows you exactly where you should be going, and also the information is published on the website, so you can plan ahead of time exactly where diversions are and what that means for your ride. Sometimes they're in place because of fire, especially further south along the track. There's been quite a few diversions already just because of recent bushfires, and here it's because of logging. There's a bit of logging going on just in and around the track here. I'm hoping it's being done in a responsible way. There's a long history of irresponsible logging here in the southwest. The Karri forest that I've travelled through and the Jarrah forest that I'm getting into now have been logged since European settlement. Initially the trees weren't valued at all and just cleared for agriculture and sheep farming and that sort of thing, and then as the wood became a valued resource, especially the Jarrah and the Karri forest, great hardwood for making furniture and all sorts of things, the logging was done just to extract the wood, and a lot of exploitation has happened in the past, so hopefully that's no longer the case and it's all being done in a sustainable way, particularly for the animals that rely on the trees, one of which are black cockatoos that you're likely to see. There's 3 species. There's a red-tailed variety and 2 white-tailed varieties, and they're all threatened species. They've been impacted by the logging that's gone on in the past. They rely on the large hollows for breeding that occur in the large old trees that are incidentally targeted by the loggers, so hopefully they're not being impacted in this particular area by the logging occurring in here, because they're a beautiful bird and you should definitely keep an eye out for them when you're riding on the trail.
That causes diversions along the trail and will continue to do so well into the future is bauxite mining. Bauxite is the raw material used to make aluminium metal, and it occurs right through the Jarrah forest across the northern parts of the trail, and it lies in the top layers of the soil, so it requires complete clearing of the vegetation to access the ore, which is transported along these massive conveyor belts and shipped off to smelters interstate, where it's converted into the aluminium metal that we all use at some point in our lives. Unfortunately, here in the Jarrah forest, the bauxite is quite patchy in its distribution, so complete clearing of great swathes of forest is required. A lot of work is done in the rehabilitation here. Part of that, I'm sure, is because we're not too far from Perth City, so there's a lot of public eyes on the mining that goes on here. If only the same could be said for the more remote mining that goes on up north, but at least here in the southwest, a lot of work is done in trying to return the mine areas back to as natural a state as possible. So fingers crossed the long-term impacts on the environment and on the trail remain low, and everyone in the future can continue to enjoy this beautiful part of the world. Well, 25 days later, and I've made it to the other end of the trail. It's been a while. I thought it'd take 2 or 3 weeks at the beginning. It has certainly been one epic challenge, but that has made it all the more rewarding to be standing here at the end of it, being able to look back on such an incredible time on the trail. To be able to ride through the southwest of Australia, which is internationally renowned as a biodiversity hotspot, is just absolutely awesome, and I hope this video encourages you to look it up and get out here and try it out for yourself one day.